Our next topic we're going to be discussing is lockout, tagout, and electrical safety. First thing we want to mention is when we hear the word lockout, tagout, we want to associate this with accountability. We're trying to put a system in place to make sure that all points of lockout is accountable for and there's no exposure to energized parts. What we have on our job sites, we have a basic lockout tagout kit consisting of 3 different types of padlocks, all keyed different, with multiple types of breaker locks that can be applied to the breakers to secure. One thing we need to understand, anytime there is a breaker lock system put into place, we have to make sure that there is a tag applied. What we want to do, we want to know whose lock it is, what time it was put on, and who we have to see to re-energize the circuit. Basically, this here is just a certification of meeting of the minds. Everybody that's involved with this particular scope of work will meet and they will discuss the procedures they're going to be going through for lockout and tagout. Basically, we deal with 2 types of construction work on a lot of our larger jobs, what they call the shell and the tenant build out. At this time, there's usually at least 2 different electrical contractors that is working in the same facility. Our concern is when we are doing the shell and another contractor is doing the tenant build out is the accountability for the electrical room itself. At that time, the shell should override the interior. So keep this in mind. Always be prepared. When I say be prepared, usually that you're going to go through 2 phases of a construction site. You're going to have what they call a pre-power and a permanent power towards the end of the job. Always remember, you need to test before you touch. Basically, you do not take the word of anyone that the circuit is off. Always test. A lot of people doesn't realize that an arc flash can generate up to 35,000 degrees temperature. Copper vaporizes at 1800 degrees. Then you look at your scope of work. When you're working in the vicinity of a live panel, your distance from the arc will be approximately 18 inches. So that area and that spacing exposes your lungs, your eyes, your ears to dramatic trauma. So make sure, comply with our policy, no hot work. So remember all the factors that can be involved: eyes, ears, nose, lungs. This is very important. Always no hot work. We can always adjust, relocate, reset our times when we have to be exposed to hot energized circuits, and we can secure them one way or the other. Now also, when we're on our job sites, we're concerned with our general electrical safety. Now this can be no more than an extension cord. We have multiple extension cords is always used on the job site. When I or a representative comes on the job site, basically what we look for is we need to make sure that all construction outlets are GFCI protected. We want to make sure that they're logged and documented on a regular basis. Our extension cords, we want to look for strain reliefs, make sure they're all in good shape. And always remember, all construction outlets has to be GFCI protected. This here is a GFCI pigtail. A lot of times a device like this is used for a pre-power or a temporary power situation. This here allows you to use a general circuit, and as long as it's applied, this will make the circuit GFCI protected. Now, a lot of times also consider this. When you come on a job site and you find an extension cord that has been repaired with black electrical tape, this is not acceptable. Black electrical tape does not meet the requirements as insulation value of an extension cord. This extension cord will be immediately taken out of service. Always check, make sure your ground is complete. A 3-wire cord cap is required on all extension cords on a construction site. When we're working on a rough end job, look at your temporary lighting. Your lighting always has to be encased in some type of protective device. A cage, a guard has to be applied. The lighting circuit and the general construction circuit cannot be co-used. They have to be separate circuits. This is designed where If a piece of equipment was to foul the circuit, kick the breaker, it does not involve your emergency exit lights. Keep all this in mind. General electrical safety is very important on your job site.